All right. So we've got about 5 devices onboarded, and now we're going to take a quick look at optimization of some of these devices. We're going to look at shadow policies right now. So to start, it's really, let's kind of talk about shadow policies. It's not uncommon for firewall configurations to grow over time and include a large number of policies, policy-based access control rules, really, that relate to objects. And then, over time, this requires optimization. You gotta look at these, see if they're still being used, things like that. So, policy growth, really could result from inconsistent management practices, having several team members managing a single device, or just the result of regular and emergency change control modifications. One such related policy related issue is the existence of shadow rules. So a shadow rule or shadow rules are rules that exist in a policy that never trigger because a rule that precedes it prevents the packet from being evaluated by the shadow rule. And this is due to the fact that the rules are processed in a top-down nature. And there are reasons shadow rules can exist, but that we talked about. But the critical question is, how can we clean them up? And CDO can help you locate various policy configuration issues, such as shadow policy rules, and help you fix those problems. So we're going to look at that here. So to start, we're going to go over here to policy, come here, and we now see a list of ASA policies that was brought into CDO through the onboarding of our ASA devices. And you notice the shadow kind of half circle, half moon circle icon right here. And we've got 2 policies here, the point of sale policy and the inside access in policy, that are indicating that we have some shadow policies. So if we take a look at this inside access in policy first, we click on it, and over here on the right side, before we kind of get into the rules, we see that this right side panel gives us some information about the policy. At the top, we can see the number of access control entries, and we see 52, and we see 36 of those are shadowed. Now, we've only shown 16 rules here, right? So, the rules are expanded to a greater number of access control entries when pushed to the ASA. And that's because some of these rules have objects that define 3 or 4 servers, web proxy servers in there. So that's 3 access control entries when it gets pushed. So we can scroll down here on this right hand side here, and you can see that we've got the number of devices that this policy is deployed on. I can drop this device down. I can see the interface and the direction that it's deployed on, and then I see some hit counts right here. We can see right now this isn't being used. So that's just kind of a basic idea of how the little right hand side management works. If I want to edit this, I can click edit the policy. But let's start with line 6 here, and we see our first line that's got a shadow policy on it. If I click that line, you're going to notice multiple visual changes on our display. So if I click that line there, we've selected it, and you see above that line on line 3 and 4, we've got some warning graphs up here in our source and destination and our ports. And then you can also see that we've got this little shadow color here that's indicating, these are shadow rules. So if I hover over these warnings, it gives me an indication of, this is this shadowing caused by port configuration. So I can hover over the rules and I can get some idea of what's causing this. And I can select this. Nope. Select that right there. So I can look at these really easily, and I can see that lines 3 and 4. If I can look at these, permit TCP any. So any source, any port, any destination, any port, and then permit IP any, and I can look that those are both pretty much allowing anything, and so obviously they're going to shadow this rule right here, which is TCP with a source of web proxy and a destination of any. All right, so I get a really quickly, we can tell here that, and we can also see here, if you look at this is another great indicator over here. We see that this contains, this contains 7 access control entries, right? And so if you actually scroll down here and you look at this object used here, so I look at this web proxy server object, I open that up, I can see all these 7 different IPs that make up my web proxy, right? And I can see it shadowed by these rules here and why it's being shadowed. So in this case, it's pretty obvious that, for some reason, maybe these were entered here for troubleshooting or some purpose like that. But these are these rules here are just way too permissive and probably need to be removed. So let's go up here to our edit policy. We'll select rule 3 here, and we can go delete that one. So we're going to hit the trash can there, delete that one, and then we'll also delete this one here. We'll hit save. We're going to confirm that. And then we can go back over to our policy here. Go back. Come back in and look at this policy. Nope. Delete that. There we go. And so now we can see here that just by removing those 2 lines that we only have 1 shadow policy left here, or 1 shadow rule left here, and it's this number 12, permit ICP any. So if we select that, we can see it's being shadowed up here by this permit ICMP any port, or any source, any port, any destination, any port. And so you can tell here that this one is probably something that we added incorrectly down here at this line 12. And we can remove that one and leave the line 3 there. So let's go edit policy, remove this one, hit save, hit confirm, and now our we don't have any shadow access control entries in this policy. So if we go back over to our devices here, and we look here at this device, these devices, we can see that the device we were just editing is now out of sync. So we can choose this device here, and we can say, we can preview and deploy these policies that the policy changes we just made. Right there. It's showing us the the changes that will be made, and we can view some manual instructions for making these changes. So this would download. If we click download here, we can download a text file that will show us exactly what the changes we're making. So we could download this text file, put it in a change control, and we've got documentation of the changes that we're making here. And it shows us how we could back out of those changes if we had problems. So we'll go ahead and close that. And we'll just go ahead and hit preview and deploy, and we'll deploy at this time. So we hit and apply changes, and it's going to push those changes. There we go. That easy. It's in sync now. So let's look at a few other shadow policies. So, in the shadow policy in the example, that we just did, that was pretty easy, right? We probably could have, easily detected that, that issue within CLI or ASDM as long as we didn't have, a massive policy with a lot of entries. If we go back and we look at that point of sale entry, it's going to be a little bit of a different story here. And, this one's not quite as easy to identify. It's not that it's a massive list, you can see here, but it's the fact that they're using objects. So we can't tell what these objects are like we could earlier, as easy as we could earlier. So, this policy, has more lines and things like that, but the fact that it's using those objects makes it a lot harder to troubleshoot it. So if I scroll down here and I click line 20, I still got all the same information over here that we saw earlier, right? Same management stuff. I can scroll down. I can see there's an object being used here of network 19. And again, just like earlier, if I can see here my shadow entry here is line 16. And really the only difference that we can tell is that this one here has a source object of network 19, and this one has a source object of network 12. So if I look at, break this open and look at network 19, it's 10.19.00/29. And so if I go up to line 16, and let's take a look and see what object 12 is. Well, it's 10.0.0.0/10. And so, that's a pretty massive entry, so if knowing this network here that I've got configured, I typically use /28s. So I've got I've entered this one here with the wrong network, right? This network 12, if you look just like network 19 here, it should be 10.12, not 10.0. This one's 10.19, right? So I can come up here and I look at this one. I've just made a mistake here, and I need to make that change, right? So if I go up here, let's go line 16. Go edit network 12. We're going to edit network 12. We'll make that change. It's going to be 10.12/28. There we go. We hit save. Confirm. There we go. Let's save the policy. Confirm. There we go. And now If you notice the point of sale policy, we can verify that network 12, we no longer have that shadow rule. All right, and we can click on line 16, and we see that we haven't actually pushed the config yet. So let's go up to devices here. Again, we see that we're out of sync. So we go ahead and push this. Again, we see the change that's being made here. Apply. Okay. It should be synced. We'll refresh this to make sure. Yep. So if we go over to policies, we should see that our point of sale policy has no longer got a shadow icon there. We click on it. We go look at line 16 where we had network 12, and we should show the change here, 10.12.00/28. So, in this scenario, in this example demo, we corrected shadow rules that existed on our ASA policy across multiple devices, and then deployed the changes from CDO. So pretty easy to quickly identify those issues. You think about a large environment with a large policy and a lot of access control entries. This would be very hard to do with the human eye. And so CDO helps you to identify these issues and optimize your policies very quickly. So in the next one, we're going to look at object optimization. So please check out that video and like and subscribe. And thank you for watching.